Oftentimes, a manufacturer will give customers rebates. You know, if you buy so much, you get 3% back. Over time, those tend to become entitlements, right? So they almost, the customers don't even have to grow. They just kind of, whatever they buy, and they get their 3% or 5%, and that number tends to get bigger over time. And it just becomes built in, right? And we don't really get anything for it. And we might walk into a client where that's the situation, and it's been that way for years. That's a difficult thing to change that dynamic. Now, but we really have to, because oftentimes it's half of my profit margin that I'm giving back in the form of a rebate, where many years ago when we set up the program, it might have been more profitable, but now with competition and, you know, in changing markets, maybe I'm not making the same margins, and all of a sudden that becomes unsustainable. So we work with our customers to understand the real value proposition. Now we're getting to the value proposition and say, do we really need to give that 3% back to everybody every day? Or maybe there's some places where we should, other places where we shouldn't, because our value proposition is strong enough to stand on its own. And that becomes a little bit of a gut check, because you have to, at some point, they have to go to their customers and say, we're changing, and we're not going to give you that rebate. And you can do it, and you can walk your way through it, and you can, you know, it can be phased in, but you have to make at some point that hard decision to say no to a customer. So we work with them on how to do that. But that's an example where it might take some time. You want to really improve your price leaks and sustain them over time. Ideally, in some IT system, you've made it the default that we follow the policy, and only with appropriate approval levels can you override that. There are reasons to deviate, and it's not that every leak is a bad leak, but it should be a known, managed, and measured leak with approval. And to the extent you can make that the default in the system, you're going to have a much better success.